Welcome, my friends, to the Bob and Brad podcast, produced by Bob and Brad, the two most famous physical therapists on the internet. I am Bob, exactly one half of the Bob and Brad team, and today I am joined by Jordan, whose title
Yes.
is,
Nutritional health coach.
and glad that we have her here today because today we're going to talk about the top 10 foods and food additives you should avoid. I am looking forward to this
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I need to follow some guidance here.
We all
So,
need reminders.
all right, let's start right off with the number one thing. I see you have listed vegetable oils.
Yes. Well, and before we jump into this, I should mention these aren't in any particular order.
Sure.
Okay. I didn't
It's
rank
like
them.
10 is the
They're
worst.
all just bad. Just stay away.
Yeah.
But anyways, going on. Okay. Go ahead.
That's perfect. So vegetable oils.
Yes. So vegetable oil is it's a big category of oils. So any of our highly processed oils, canola oil, corn oil, soybean oil, safflower oil, there's others that fall into this category. Those are kind of the mainstays. Yeah, vegetable oil in general.
Yes.
Some are just
Yeah.
labeled vegetable oil.
So these could be separate as an oil and also in a product.
Correct.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So
So this would be like what we cook our food with,
Sure.
but also like when we're shopping, you got to look for these on labels because they're
You
very
gotta be
common.
like a detective.
You
because
do.
It's in a lot of stuff.
You do. Yep.
So why are these oils so bad?
So honestly, main reason is so these are mostly polyunsaturated fats, which by nature, polyunsaturated fats, I try not to get too scientific
Right.
and bore people, but you kind of need a little bit of background knowledge. But
Sure.
they're super sensitive to heat, to light, to air exposure. So what food manufacturers do is they chemically modify them to make them resistant to these things.
Sure.
So they're highly, highly processed and changed from their original form to make them so that we can, deep fry in them.
So they won't spoil? Is that it?
Yes, they won't
That's
spoil.
part of the thing.
Restaurants use them so that they can deep fry. Well, if
Sure.
you can't do that unless they're modified to resist heat. So
Gotcha.
they're also very, very high in another reason why they're bad, very high in omega-6s, which is pro-inflammatory in our body. And you know about inflammation and how bad
Right.
that is. So
it's kind of one of the key words right now, I think,
Yeah.
in the literature. And omega-3s are good, right?
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
salmon and stuff like that.
Yeah.
right?
Fish oil, salmon. Yep.
So do you want to talk about alternatives to these?
Yeah, I guess we could
Just-
do that. I
just
didn't
touch
intend
up
on
on
it,
a
but
few
touch on it. So yeah, if you've got, first of all, look at your food ingredients. If you eat whole foods, there's nothing to read. But
Gotcha.
the fact of the matter is we don't always. I always teach people to read the ingredients rather than the nutrition facts. You're going to find way more information there. So watching for these processed oils, and instead replacing them with really three. I mainly always talk about our avocado oil, olive oil, and coconut oil.
And we went to avocado oil because did you say the other two are sensitive to heat or not?
Avocado oil can withstand heat. The other two. Sorry. Yes.
Right.
Coconut oil can withstand heat. Olive oil, not so much.
Olive oil.
So
right. We were doing olive oil and you had said that doesn't really work. So I make
better,
my
yeah.
popcorn in avocado oil.
yeah, and it's good,
So,
right?
yeah, it's
no,
very good.
no
I
different change in
spray-
flavor.
I
Yep.
spray it on stuff. I
Yep.
spray it on my popcorn too.
Yeah. Yep.
So no, it's great.
For sure.
Fantastic. It changed our life.
Yeah.
So why don't we skip on to number 2 here now? We're going
Yes,
to talk
let's
about
do that.
flour, and we're talking about both white and wheat flour.
Yep. So flour,
things.
I mean, go through your pantry and try to find something without flour, unless of course you're already following a very whole foods based diet. But most of our packaged foods that we have are eating, even our quote unquote healthy foods that we think are healthy in our pantry, if you go and flip it over, they have some kind of flour in them. Our cereal, crackers, obviously bread. That's an obvious one. Pastas. What am I missing
Wonder
here?
bread?
Yeah,
They don't even
yeah,
make that anymore,
yeah.
do they?
I think they probably do. Yeah.
Sure.
But the thing that most people don't understand, I think a lot of people now have knowledge that or that they think that they have knowledge on is, wheat is better than white, right?
Right.
But the problem with this, and we could probably do a podcast on this in and of
Alone,
itself if we
yes.
wanted to, but wheat today is not what wheat was 50 years
Yeah,
ago.
they took out the kernel, right?
Yep, yep,
Yeah, they took out the nutrition basically
yeah,
and left the
essentially.
crappy stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So there's
Yeah.
literally you'll see wheat products that have vitamins and minerals, but that's fortified. That's fortified in there. Cereal's fortified, bread is fortified. It's not naturally coming from the wheat. So, wheat in and of itself, in my nutritional opinion, has no nutritional value in our diet. With
Probably negative, right?
yeah,
In some
yeah.
extent.
I mean, we could really again get heavy, but
Right.
there's that's a whole
But
huge
you
topic
had
in and
mentioned
of itself.
earlier that to read the ingredients versus
Yes.
because it seems like the packaging they come up with terms makes it sound like it's healthy,
Oh yeah.
but it's
Oh
not
yeah.
at all. I
Yes.
mean, it's the
Yes.
exact opposite of healthy.
They can put all sorts of things that attract us now to make it look
They know legally what
really.
they can say,
Oh yeah.
and they toe the line. Believe me.
Yeah.
I mean, I've looked at things. I remember I was looking at two types of ketchup, and they both had the same ingredients, and they both sounded like totally two different ketchups.
Oh yeah. Oh
They-
yeah. They're very smart food manufacturers to get you to
Yeah.
buy their stuff. So when you go to buy a product that's coming off the shelves that has ingredients in it, don't just skip over the nutrition label. You're going to get everything you need to know on that ingredient list. Yeah.
Sure.
So
All right, let's go to number 3.
All right.
Low fat or fat-free products. This is a good one.
yeah, this is one of my favorites to teach people on. This and another one we're going to cover later, but
What are
So-
some examples?
examples of this would be speaking of low fat or fat free, milk, yogurt, a lot of dairy products, sour cream, mayonnaise, peanut butter, salad dressings. There's more. Those are just some things to
What
throw out
makes
there.
the low-fat version or fat-free so bad in these products?
Well, so the problem is a lot of these products, in and of itself, in their pure form, they have fat in them, right? So in
Right.
nature, how they're found, they have fat. A food manufacturer has to actually physically go out and remove the fat to make them fat-free or low-fat. That's not naturally occurring. So when we do that, we're altering them, first of all, from their whole pure form.
Sure.
But in addition to that, you take that out and you put nothing else in replacement. It tastes like crap. Nobody would eat it. Nobody would drink it. So they
Now
have to
they're
put
gonna
something
add
else
something
back
else
in. Yeah.
for
Sugar.
taste.
Yeah. Sugar, food additives to make it more palatable. They're smart. Food manufacturers are so smart at making
So again,
things.
when you say low-fat, fat-free, to me that's going to sound like low-calorie,
Yeah.
and it's not
No.
because it might have sugar in there.
Right.
Gosh.
And a lot of times, some of these things they're taking the fat out of as it existed in nature in its whole form. Like fat is good, to an extent. And when we alter all these things and take it all out, I think it's causing more damage to our health than just
there's
leaving
a
it
reason
alone.
why the last last generation is just obesity is on the rise like
Yeah.
a pandemic.
Diabetes along with it. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they push the fat free and low fat.
Right.
So
100%.
all right. Do you want to say anything more about that, or should we go on to number 4?
Let's go on. I think that kind of covers it. Just don't buy anything that says low fat or fat free.
There you
Period.
go.
End of story.
GMO corn and soy is number 4.
Yeah. This is kind of another kind of heavy topic, like the whole wheat
A lot of farmers are going to
conversation.
be happy to do.
I know. I ruffle a little bit of feathers. I try to be careful who I have conversations with this about.
Right.
I'll put it out there. I'm an organic promoter. I
Sure.
buy it. I believe in it. To what extent we can always believe everything in the food industry can be a little bit sketchy. But well, let's back up. I wonder if people even know what GMO means.
Let's talk about it.
Okay. So, I can define that just in simple terms. GMO stands for a genetically modified organism. So, something that was changed and altered from its natural form. So,
Sure.
a lot of our crops are genetically modified to make them more resistant to pests and things like that. And they're genetically modified for all sorts of reasons. So things can last longer. I don't know.
Isn't that true about just about every product created now? As far as like apples, aren't they genetically modified, or am I wrong?
Yeah, you're hard pressed to find a produce
Sure.
item that's. There are some, but Yeah, most are modified in some way, shape, or another.
So
But
what I understand about our gut flora, this has been developed over probably thousands of years,
our
correct?
gut flora,
Yeah.
yeah,
And so we're making changes to that in just a span of a few years. Our gut flora doesn't have a chance to adapt to it. Is it
correct.
correct in saying
Correct.
it that way?
Yes. Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it. We've seen more changes in our food supply in the last 50 years than we have combined in hundreds upon hundreds
Sure.
upon hundreds of years. And
Thousands.
I don't even think we understand the consequences it's going to have
No, we
quite yet. I
don't.
mean, we're seeing
The
we're
science hasn't caught up yet.
no, no.
So
So, in my opinion, when you can avoid those things like that we just don't know enough about, I think that's a good idea.
right.
Um, and how you avoid it, it has to if it isn't from a non-GMO crop, it will say on the label GMO free. Like companies do
Sure.
label that, so you can find it, you can spot it out, but you do have to look for it.
Sure.
Yep.
Number 5 is probably the most obvious one on the list.
Yeah.
It's
Have to include it though.
Sugar.
Yeah.
It's a beast.
Yeah, this is one that's typically whenever I do like any sort of nutrition talk or presentation or coaching with people, whatever it might be, this is one where I don't get a lot of question on. People know, they
Right.
understand sugar is bad. Some of
Right.
the other ones I get questioned,
Big questions, I'm sure.
but yeah. But sugar, we can all agree it's not good. That doesn't mean we avoid it. But
Right.
I kind of wanted to focus today's conversation, though. We know sugar is bad, but I want to really talk about sugar in like drinks and just how detrimental that really
Right.
is, rather than, I mean, sugar's in everything. Yeah, we should do our best to avoid it,
What's
but
shocking to me is that I can understand the sugar that you see in a can of soda.
Yeah.
Or a can of pop,
Yes.
depending where state you're
Yes.
from. But there's a lot of sugar in a lot of the sports drinks.
Oh my gosh, yes.
We found out, I think some of them were worse than the regular drink.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's supposed to be a sports drink.
So you
And
think, yeah,
You're down in sugar.
right. Energy drinks too. I don't drink those. I think
Sure.
I think they're disgusting, but I know a lot of people rely on those.
Yeah.
Juice is another one people
Right.
think
It's
healthy.
healthy.
Healthy,
Juice,
right?
Orange juice.
Yeah, the problem is, and just with anything in sugar and drinks, it's just way too easy to just do too much of it, right?
Like it's fine for you to eat orange or two,
Yes.
but in an orange drink, you're really
Oh yeah.
concentrating the sugar.
Like there's no way we could sit here and peel 10 oranges
Right.
and sit and down those in this time we're
Yeah.
doing this podcast, but could we juice 10
Yeah.
oranges and drink it?
Exactly.
100%. So it's just way too easy to overdo it. Not to mention I know so many people that every single day they're going through Starbucks or whatever drive-through to get their latte. And not
A
understanding.
sneaky way of getting sugar.
Yeah, and it's amazing to me how people are living on these things, starting their day with them.
I was coaching basketball, 6th grade, and we had these kids that come in and they'd take these sports drinks before the game,
Yeah.
and they would just crash like by game 2. Like
Yes,
they were
yes.
like I could see it in their eyes.
But
They
we
were
don't
going,
put the 2 and 2 together.
Well, I did. We stopped drinking those sports drinks. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's
So-
I'll take a side tangent on this one. Personal story testimonial that happened to me yesterday. If I can on sugar.
Sure, absolutely.
So I don't drink sugary drinks because I know they're bad for me. I don't
Right.
care for the taste. I'm good with water and some black coffee and tea. But
Sure.
anyways, I'm pregnant right now, and I had to do a glucose tolerance test. So they made me sit in the doctor's office and drink 50 grams of concentrated sucrose or whatever form it
Really?
was. Yeah. And then an hour later, they test to make sure that your insulin is working. That's
Well,
a standard.
Would that work with
test.
you for somebody who never drinks it?
Well, that's what my hesitation was with it, and I had a lot of questions. Well, I mean, I did pass it, so
Ah,
But my story with this that I will share with people, I don't understand how people can drink that and function in life.
I know.
About 45 minutes when I was done, I started feeling really dizzy. I was yawning. I was tired. I was vibrant, full of energy before that. And the rest, and then I got to work about 2 hours later and I was starving.
Oh, you're starving.
Starving, so hungry. And I just crashed.
Sugar then.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's my personal testimonial in like
it's a terrible cycle to get into.
It is. And I know your body gets used to it, but I don't understand how people are walking around and drink after drink after drink. So that's
now number 6, artificial sweetener.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't like, you can't take sugar. Can't you take false sugar?
Yeah, we would think, well, okay, we're taking the Coca-Cola out, so we'll just make it Diet Coke now, right? Unfortunately, to me, I thought this was common knowledge for people that artificial sweeteners aren't good, but there's too many people now that are seeing sugar-free and they're grabbing it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So artificial sweeteners are like, there's a lot of names. I mean, there's a big list, and I'll just touch the 2 main ones.
Right.
Aspartame and sucralose, which is Splenda's the brand name of sucralose.
What is one that's a little bit better for you?
Stevia.
Stevia.
Yeah.
Right.
Still, to our knowledge in nutrition, in small amounts, because stevia is a plant, like it's okay. It's okay. I think small amounts. Yeah.
Sure. So if you're going to do one, that's probably the one.
Yes.
Small amounts.
Yes. But yeah, so just staying away from things labeled sugar-free. So no, your sugar-free latte at Starbucks is no better than your regular vanilla latte, in my opinion. Am I right in
saying, I'm trying to remember if I remember this correctly, but isn't it like your body will react to it like it's sugar sometimes? Like your insulin levels may actually shoot up?
Correct. Yes. Yep.
It fools your body apparently too sometimes.
It does, yeah, and we'll touch on that with the next one we talk about too, of fooling our body. But in addition to that, we still just don't know enough about them. But we do know that when they do digest and break down into our body, they're byproducts, and the whole digestion process is some compounds that we don't want released in our body. I can tell you that. So,
all right, next one is MSG. I remember when we'd always go get Chinese, he'd always say no MSG, and I think he'd laugh and leave it in there anyway. But
yeah, probably. So you knew about this one before?
Well, I didn't know what it was.
Yeah,
I just remember I already told you don't order the MSG.
Yeah,
whatever it is.
You don't know what it is. Yeah. In fancy terms, it stands for monosodium glutamate.
Gotcha.
It's a food additive. It's a flavor enhancer. It makes things taste really good.
Gotcha.
It's really that food additive that makes you want more. So there's a reason why when you go open a bag of Doritos that you don't eat 2 Doritos, you eat the whole bag. It's literally what food manufacturers do. It tricks your taste buds into making it's addictive. Makes you want more.
It is addictive. I remember I was hearing this doctor talk on the radio one time, and he and his wife were in the car, and they actually literally had to stop the car, put it in the trunk, and even then, they stopped later and opened the trunk.
Yeah, I mean,
it's amazing.
I've heard stories of people throwing it away in their garbage outside and going and digging it out of their garbage. It's addictive. Food manufacturers are smart. The more you eat, the more you buy, right? Yeah. But you're going to find it in a lot of processed foods, especially like go to any like chip, not like a plain salted potato chip. That won't have it, but like a barbecue or sour cream and onion, Doritos, Cheetos, like all those flavored, that's going to have MSG.
About it? In general?
So, well, I mean, first of all, you're going to overeat those foods.
Right.
100%. They're addictive.
Not good foods.
No, and then they got all sorts of other things in it. As far as what else is like particularly specifically bad about the compound MSG, I would have to do some more like specific research. But again, it's an artificial food additive. Anything manufactured and made by food manufacturers, I'm not going to trust it.
Right.
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Next one, deli meat or processed meats.
Yes.
I used to eat a lot of these, I'm afraid to say, but I stopped about 20 years ago.
Yeah. So this is one I want to say too. They're not all bad. There are some out on the market that you can find at your grocery store that are better. Definitely better. So I don't want to lump it and say that you can't find a good one out there, but you have to be particular. So we just want to kind of educate you on like what to look at in a label. But most deli meats or processed meats, we could include like hot dogs in this category too, or sausage, things of that nature. But a lot of what they have in them is a preservative. It's a food additive to make the food last longer, called nitrates, nitrites. Have you heard of those?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the big issue with it, linked to a whole host of health issues that I didn't even begin to list on here. But
you're looking for nitrate free.
Correct. Yeah. Nitrate free. If you are going to include these as a part of your diet. And what you'll see when you go and like buy a package of turkey and they're nitrate free, what they're putting in it instead is some kind of herb, like rosemary is common because it can preserve a food in the same way. So it's beyond me. Yeah.
Wow.
Celery, I think celery powder or celery seed is another one that
probably more expensive.
Of course. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's the main reason why those things aren't being used. But there are alternatives, but we just need to be aware of what we need to look for.
So you're looking for nitrate free.
Yep.
But you're also looking for quality raised meats without hormones or antibiotics.
Yeah.
So what if you find a meat that says it does not have antibiotics in it, but you don't know about hormones?
Then that's a gray area. Yeah, you kind of have to
have vice versa. You know what I mean?
You kind of have to have both on the label too. Yeah,
that's what I want to know because I just saw this.
I think it's chicken that
I saw chicken.
What is it? And I always get this confused. One of them's banned in all. Like you're not even going to find it in the lowest quality chicken, but yet they'll still advertise it to you. But it still has the other one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's probably what I found. I can't remember which one was either.
Yeah.
All right, this last one, I'll tell you.
There's two more actually.
Okay.
This next one.
We got another one. Next page.
Oh, where is it? Well, I'll grab it because that's only going to be 9. But I know what the last one is.
Last one, second to last one, is margarine, which I used to think that was the healthy. Butter was so bad for you, so I ate margarine for years and years.
Oh yeah.
So
I think I grew up on margarine in the refrigerator. Yeah. Not in my adult years, but so margarine actually is, it's a man-made food. Okay. It doesn't exist in nature.
Gotcha.
I don't know if you know anything about how it's made at all, but so remember the vegetable oils we talked about earlier. Right. Yeah. So it actually starts with one of those, a vegetable oil. So
a bad start.
Yeah. It's already off to a bad start. These foundation. Are, to me, margarine's worse even than vegetable oils. Because not only, so they start with that, and then what they do is they modify it, change it to make it, solid or partially solid. It's nice and spreadable. So they modify it to be like a partially saturated fat in essence. Okay. That's actually a trans fat by nature. So, I think we have enough knowledge now in human nutrition that trans fats are probably arguably one of the worst things that we can put into our body. So there's absolutely nothing natural about it. Completely synthetic, man-made, altered to create this.
Any of them that are good? Like, isn't there vegan butters or something like that?
Yeah, there are. I'd have to. There's maybe some that are lesser evil, or starting with a better oil. Or
do you just use butter?
I just use butter.
Gotcha.
Just use regular old.
It tastes better.
Grass-fed butter.
Sure.
That's what I use. Yeah, it does taste better. So if you have margarine in your house, if you're going to do nothing else from this conversation, throw that in the garbage, because you're really taking, now another thing from this list and making it even worse.
Gotcha.
So,
boy, that's good advice.
Yeah.
Number 10.
Yeah, so that one got cut off on here, but number 10, I actually put kind of a food category, and I'll tell you why. But like donuts and cake, and like baked goods, like bakery items. Now, the reason I put this in here, and we can expand upon it, but now we're taking and we're combining a product that has sugar. It's got the oils.
GMO probably.
Probably GMO. It's got the flour. We talked about.
Wow.
If you have frosting on your cake, you're going to have like margarine probably, or some kind of like vegetable shortening to make that. Maybe some are using butter, but my point is now we're taking a bunch of these things that we already talked about
and putting
it together.
There you go. Have it.
Yeah. And I don't even know what that's doing in our body.
Right.
To be honest with you, I don't even think we understand the effect, the compound effect when we put all these things that we already know are bad by themselves, but then we put them together. Yeah.
I'm doing more and more reading on this, and basically food is medicine.
Yeah.
And on the other end, I think the other types of food can be almost like a poison to you. And they were giving the example of how food can affect Alzheimer's and have a large effect. And they were talking about the things that people eat. It's like the exact wrong things to eat for developing Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
So, and they do it on a daily basis. People eat like this.
So. Oh yeah. Yeah, we're not talking about the occasional twice a year piece of birthday cake that you eat. We're talking about the daily, exposure, day after day, having that compounding effect. If you're eating a really good, healthy, whole foods diet, you can probably handle a piece of birthday cake. But it's when you compound it on top of all of these other things, it's just toxic overload for your body. And it's no wonder we're seeing the health crisis and people that we're seeing today. So,
this was a wonderful topic, Jordan. I really, like you said, we'll have to expand on some of these in the future podcasts. But thanks to everybody who joined us, either in podcast or on video. Hope to see you soon again.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.